Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。US President Donald Trump has announced on Truth Social that he thinks the meetings between China and the US, the first since he enforced massive worldwide tariffs on goods imported to the United States last month, were very good, and that a total reset has been negotiated in a friendly but constructive manner. While Trump doesn't specifically mention the tariffs, he went on to claim that he was opening up China to US businesses, which is quite ironic since you can buy iPhones here in China, but Huawei phones are banned in the US. You can buy a Chevrolet in China, but Chinese EVs are effectively barred in the US. You can find McDonald's, KFC and Starbucks on nearly every street here in Shanghai. But is China's Luckin coffee available in the US? Spoiler alert, no. So what does the Chinese side have to say? Has Trump jumped the gun as usual? Today we'll go beyond the propaganda. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Borham here in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. First up today, briefly some really exciting news. My book, The Wu-Mao Handbook Volume 1, 25 Anti-China Lies Debunked, which will be available in both softcover like this or in my favorite hardcover format, which I absolutely love, from May 15 on Amazon Books. I'll talk more in detail about it in another video very soon, but mark your calendars. Now, I don't have a link just yet since the book isn't live, but if you're watching this after May 15, just search for the Wu-Mao Handbook. Okay, back to the news. President Donald Trump, in his usual fashion, has jumped the gun following trade talks between China's He Lifeng and US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, claiming the talks were the best, the greatest, the most amazing in the world, via a post on Truth Social where he wrote, "A very good meeting today with China in Switzerland. Many things discussed, much agreed to. A total reset negotiated in a friendly but constructive manner. We want to see, for the good of both China and the US, an opening up of China to American businesses. Great progress made." What's interesting about Trump's post is that while suggesting the meeting went well, which is good to hear, of course, there's no specific mention of tariff talks, most likely because these meetings were never specifically claimed, by the Chinese side at least, to be talking about the tariffs. The meetings were a chance for the two sides to sit down and frame how things will move forward in the future and to test the waters, so to speak. All that happened was that China was already going to be in Switzerland for economic talks with other countries. Scott Bessent found out about it and tried his luck gatecrashing the Chinese party. Watch how he talks about that in an interview on Fox News before the Switzerland meetings.
Now, earlier today, you said that we hadn't had negotiations with China. Now you're 2 days away from getting on a plane. And I know you've been working around the clock, but what changed? What was the catalyst for this?
Well, Laura, we haven't had negotiations. And first, thanks for having me on the show. The world has been coming to the U.S., and China has been the missing piece. I was going to be in Switzerland to negotiate with the Swiss. Turns out the Chinese team is traveling through Europe, and they will be in Switzerland also. So we will meet on Saturday and Sunday. And, look, we have shared interest that this isn't sustainable, as I said before, especially on the Chinese side. And, 145%, 125% is the equivalent of an embargo. We don't want to decouple. What we want is fair trade.
Now, I can't help but feeling Bessent sounds and looks a little bit stalkerish there. What do you think? Anyways, a meeting and talks is always a good thing, but Trump's Truth Social post hints at a wider issue here, and that is his ongoing posturing of the US and American people as poor little victims of unfair trade practices around the world, which is, of course, absolutely and utterly false. For starters, a trade deficit, which basically just means one side buys more than the other side, is just an economic reality and nothing at all to do with the health of a trade partnership. As an often cited example, we all have trade deficits with our supermarkets and have done for years on end. We're constantly buying from them while they buy nothing at all from us. Trump's obsession with that point is both confusing and entirely expected. In his Truth Social post, he goes on to extend that fake victim mentality to the Chinese market, suggesting that China is not currently open to US goods. Again, absolutely untrue. He wrote, "We want to see, for the good of both China and the US, an opening up of China to American businesses." The Chinese market is already much more open than the other way round. McDonald's, for example, is on every street here in Shanghai. Starbucks have more stores in Shanghai than any other city in the entire world. Can you buy China's Luckin coffee in the US? No. Apple iPhones and MacBooks are super popular here in China, but Huawei's offerings are literally banned in the United States. American cars are ubiquitous here in China, with brands like Tesla, Chevrolet, and Buick extremely popular. Can you buy a BYD or Xiaomi Suqi in the US? No. They've been effectively blocked by a massive 245% tariff, which was already a staggering 100% before Trump's tariff war began last month. China's market is already extremely receptive to American goods. It's actually the US that needs to remove trade restrictions on Chinese goods, and not the other way around. But I assume that what is happening with this Truth Social post is that Trump is trying to frame the talks as a win for the US and, more importantly, a win for himself. So what does China have to say about the talks in Switzerland? Well, owing to the fact that China is always cool, calm, and collected, especially around important issues like this one, there has not yet been official word about the talks, but I expect a press release maybe later tonight or tomorrow morning. I'm putting my bets on tomorrow morning. And I'll be sure to update you guys as soon as I know, but I can almost guarantee that word from the Chinese side will offer a clearer and more realistic picture. We'll wait and see. And on that note, that will be it for today, you guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Will China share Trump's sentiment that the talks were very good? And what other examples do you know of great Chinese brands that you can't buy in the US? Let me know down below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.